Welcome all to CE for Civil Engineering. So in this session, we'll see a lecture on the types of precipitation. So the main types of precipitation can be divided into four in number: convective, orographic, frontal as well as cyclonic. So we'll see one by one what each of these kinds of precipitation is about. So first one is the convective precipitation. It occurs due to heating of the ground and the temperature difference. Like for example, see in the case of land, you know that the heating of the ground surface occurs. So the air parcel near the earth's surface, it will be warmer. So what happens to the warm air? It will rise up, right? So lifting of this warm air will cause it to cool down, and as a result the rainfall occurs. So convective precipitation is related to high intensity rains occurring for very short periods. And as an example, we can say the summer rains. Summer rains can be said as an example of this kind of precipitation. The next one is orographic precipitation. Orographic precipitation is occurring due to some topographic barriers, like as we see in this figure. So the moistened air, that is the moisture containing air mass, may be transported by the wind, and if suppose it meets some barrier such as a hill etc., it gets lifted up, and as a result this kinds of precipitation occurs. Now the point to be noted is that the rain will be occurring on this windward side, that is the side from where this clouds was coming, that is the wind was blowing. So the windward side will be getting the most of the rainfall, whereas a leeward side it won't be getting the rainfall. So it is called as the rain shadow region. See, the leeward side of the mountain is what you call as a rain shadow region. Now so as an example, in India, we can say the east of Western Ghats is an example of this rain shadow region. Now next is a frontal precipitation. So before saying what is a frontal precipitation, we need to understand what a front is. So front is just an interface between two distinct air masses. So there is a air mass 1 and 2. The boundary between these two air masses, we can call it as a front. So there are two types of frontal precipitation. First one is the warm air frontal precipitation, wherein a warm air is meeting a cold air. So cold air, we know it will be dense in nature and static in nature, whereas the warm air, it is lighter. So it gets lifted up and it cools, and as a result this precipitation occurs. The next one is the cold air frontal precipitation. Here the opposite, that is a cold air will be meeting the warm air. Like for example the rainy season clouds etc., you can call it as a example of a cold air frontal precipitation. So if it is carried by wind, it meets a warm air front, and what happens again, the warm air will be lifted above this cold air and the rainfall occurs. So this is the cold air frontal precipitation. The next is the cyclonic precipitation. Of course, as the name suggests, it will be caused by cyclones. And what is a cyclone? It is an large area of low pressure region with a circular wind motion. Now you need to understand that in the northern hemisphere, the winds are anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere, whereas in the southern hemisphere these winds are clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Now the center of the cyclone is what you call as an eye, and it is a low pressure region, and the pressure increases outwards. Pressure will be increasing outwards, and so cyclonic rains are usually very heavy rainfalls. So in general, you can say cyclonic precipitation occurs due to the pressure difference between the ground as well as the water bodies. Then when we say about the cyclones, we need to understand one more term, that is anticyclones. So they are just the opposite, that is anticyclones are regions of high pressure, and here the wind will be clockwise in the northern hemisphere as well as anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere, that is just the opposite of the cyclones. So these was all about the kinds of precipitation. So we need to understand that the convective precipitation is due to the temperature difference, whereas the orographic precipitation happens due to some barriers. Then comes the frontal precipitation, that is between the due to different air fronts meeting. Then the cyclonic precipitation is caused due to the pressure difference. So thank you all for watching CE for Civil Engineering. If you like the videos, please like and subscribe the video. Thank you.